Okay, good afternoon, good morning, Brazil. Today we have a very diverse crowd from all over because we have a Brazilian who will be the special speaker. And especially for you, as a promise, we will have you hosting sessions and we're going to give a gift to you to have Brazilians talking about their countries, also their involvement with English Brazil, same as me, or a little bit different. And today it's Vini. Well, I
Hi.
haven't met Vini in person. I just know him from the school, but we are in touch and I know a little bit about him, but I'm very curious how this session will be. I know he's a musician, he's a teacher, he is a historian, let's say. So there's so much to discover about him. Vini, why don't you give us a little introduction? I think that it's very important if you're able to tell us how you learned English as well, and then we can start with the questions, okay? Welcome here, and yes, go ahead.
All right. So, hello, everyone. First of all, thank you, Simone, for the invitation. Thank you,
Sure.
everyone, for your presence. I'm very happy. So, I'm Vinicius. I'm from Brazil. I'm 22. I live in Taboão da Serra, which is a city near São Paulo. I believe everyone knows São Paulo. It is in the metropolitan region of São Paulo, I was born there in São Paulo, I have lived here in Taboão for 2 years. Before that, I used to live in a city called Embu das Artes, which is not, let's say, a very rich city. And I used to live in a place that, well, wasn't in the best conditions, also, I can say. So there were no places for you to do sports or I don't know, get to know instruments or etc. Yes, it's in a place here in Brazil, say favela. Yes, very close to ghettos. I used to live in a favela, right? And yeah, there was that. So a lot of things during basically my childhood was playing on the street with my friends. But then one day my father works with graphic design, so he sells a lot of graphic materials like cards, etc. And he got to an English school, and this guy said, "Oh, I need material." And my father said, "Oh, can you teach my son?" Yes, and then I got to learn English. So I come from a place where it's very rare for somebody to speak English or whatever other language. So I got this chance and I took it. My father put me in an English course when I was 13. Yeah. And now I'm 22. Nowadays I'm an English teacher. And when I finished my English course, the same person, the director, asked me, "Ah, don't you want to work for me?" And I said, "Okay." Then I entered in an English school, but some years later I left. Nowadays I'm just a private teacher. Yeah, basically that's my background. There is more I can say in the introduction. Like when I was in high school, I got another chance. Yes, that was I entered a very good school where I met a lot of people who had chances I didn't. For example, people that sang in a choir, people that knew how to draw, people that could, I don't know, do a lot of things that I was always fascinated by. And that got me curious. Yes, so I believe because of this, I can say I'm a curious person because I come from a place where the world was very small. I didn't know São Paulo, and I lived very near São Paulo. And now I explore, I really explore the city, I explore the states, I go out, I like talking to people. And one thing I must say at the beginning is I really like hearing from others. So if you have any story to share, any questions, I'm an open book. I would really appreciate every single comment and such. Yes, basically, this is it.
Wow, that was a lovely introduction. I think everybody has a question. If they don't, I'm going to start. Oh, okay. Adenilson is ready. Go ahead.
Hello, Vini. I'd like to know about your musician part. When did you start learning play and what kind of instruments do you play, and if you also write songs, or is just a singer, or also a songwriter as well?
Well, I again, my it's funny. This is a story. When I entered high school, everybody in my classroom knew how to play an instrument except for me. Yes, and I was like, damn, how can I not know how to play an instrument? So I asked my father a guitar, but then it was my first instrument. Um, yes, so for 2 years I couldn't make a chord properly, but after that I just kept going, and there are a lot of content on YouTube. Then I searched for it. Yes, and here in Brazil we have a lot of songs that are for guitar. We have samba, we have choro, a lot of Brazilian genres. And this was something very cool. As I said, I like knowing the history of my country, and the music was a turning point for it. So I play the guitar, I play the piano, I play the cavaquinho, which is a Brazilian instrument. I play the electric guitar, I play the bass. I just sold my bass, so I don't have my bass anymore. um, yes, and I sing, but I'm not a very good singer, I prefer just to play. Yeah.
Amazing. Let me just cut it off here a little bit. Denilson, would you please share your screen and let some of the people here see what cavaquinho is, because I don't think that everybody knows what that
Oh,
is.
we have one here I can show.
Oh, you have it. Okay, okay. So show us, and if you can play like 30 seconds or something, that would be lovely.
Okay. Yes, certainly possible. It's a very high instrument, it's like this. This is especially made for samba. It's like a very small guitar. This is the sound.
We
Yeah.
cannot hear it.
Yeah, it's basically like this. Let me see something. I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah, the sound
Maybe.
of the instrument we cannot hear, just your voice. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Maybe it's the microphone.
How about the
Yeah.
guitar, the acoustic guitar? There was one behind you.
Yes, can you want to hear it? I don't know if you can hear it.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, just a little, but now we cannot hear. I think it's a microphone.
Yeah, maybe. But then it's my life. I love music. Here in
Right.
Brazil, there are a lot of opportunities for us to
But
talk to other people about
do you
music.
write? Do you have any written songs or not? Just
Yes, I do. I do. I try to write songs in the languages I know because I think it's
Mhm.
nice. I think I didn't say well, I speak English, I speak German, and I speak Portuguese. So I try to write in these three languages.
Wow, great, man. I have another question, Vinicius. I would like to share my screen to show your city, okay? And some questions about your city, all right? Let me just share it. Okay, let me zoom out. This is São Paulo, capital. Let's zoom in so you can see Taboão da Serra. Oh, it's a metropolitan area here. Yes, this city here.
Yeah, and it's very small. We are the seventh smallest city in Brazil.
Really?
Yes. And we are the city that has, let's say, the highest demographic, I just say this, demographic density
Yes.
in America. Hmm. Yes, there are a lot of people here.
Yeah, I
Mm.
see that. Yeah, many apartments, buildings.
And
Yes,
there's some place
everyone.
to go, like to for those who want to visit your city. There's tourist attractions or not. It's just houses and buildings here.
Man, it's just houses and
Mall,
buildings.
shopping mall? Not.
Yeah, there is the biggest shopping mall in the region is from here. But it's better just to go to São Paulo or in Buenos Aires. There are much more. There are many more things to do over there.
I was curious about the name of your city because I know when I was kid and I lived in the countryside here, and there was this plant called taboa. Let me stop sharing. And
What
I
does
was
it mean?
wondering, let me
No,
admit
sorry,
another.
sorry. I would like to see in the map how far it is from São Paulo, but it's okay that you don't share it. How far is it, Vini, from São
Very
Paulo
close. I
City?
can walk to São Paulo in 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's
Like,
basically a São Paulo neighborhood,
okay,
but we have
okay.
a mayor.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Adenilson,
yeah,
sorry.
and there is this plant, plant that we can find in marshy areas and swamp. The name of this plant in Portuguese is taboa, but it's cattail, this plant here. And I remember I used to try to swim using this plant because the roots of this plant is hollowed, so we can use as a something to help us to swim. And the name of your city is like the big cattail because the name of this plant is cattail. I didn't know the name in English. It's cattail. There is this cat with this tail, cattail. And the name of your city is like the big cattail of the hills. Like for example, Taboão da Serra. I was curious about this name, Taboão. What is the meaning of Taboão? Taboão, it's like this plant here, the name of this plant, because I don't know in your city it's like a swamp area, a marsh area, or it's like in the hills though, or not.
Like it's totally hills. São Paulo, all regions of São Paulo have a lot of hills. There are like Taboão da Serra, Itapecerica da Serra, São Lourenço da Serra, like São Lourenço, hills of São Lourenço, Itapecerica, hills of Itapecerica, etc. There are a lot of hills. So yes, and it's like before it was all forest. Well, all Atlantic forest. Yeah, the Brazilian special forest. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
All right. Let's go
Mm.
for some more questions. Chiara, please.
Oh, you're muted,
Oh,
Kara.
like, let's see. Oh, she, yeah, oh. Okay.
Microphone, sorry,
Yes,
sorry.
there you go.
So, hi, this is Chiara from Italy. And well, I'm curious about something. So, I know that many Brazilian people have foreign origins. So, you said that you can speak German too. And I would like to know if your parents or if your grandparents are from any country in Europe.
Okay. So the answer is no. Actually, no.
So you
I
are
my name is
100% Brazilian.
Yes, I'm Brazilian and Portuguese. That's all I am. And my name is Vinicius Oliveira Meira. Oliveira. It's here in Brazil we have a lot of names like Oliveira, Silva, that are names that are very common, like 20% of our population have, because they resemble to a time that the slave owners named their slaves with their names, or it was the name of the farm. Yes. So there are a lot of names here in Brazil that are always repetitive. And no, I don't have like, let's say, a German name, but I have a lot of friends who have. Yes, what you said is totally true. Like Matarazzos or Pravicis, yeah, people from Italy. And this is something very strong here in Brazil. We have a lot of people that like, my great grandparents are from Italy, so I would like to learn it's Italian. And it's really cool. There are a lot of things to talk about this matter. Yes. I learned German because I just wanted to learn another language.
that's cool. I can speak a little Portuguese too. I first learned Brazilian Portuguese and then the European one. So I'm really fascinated by languages too. Cool. And one more question, if you don't mind. So, you are an English teacher, and I'm a teacher too. I also teach English and especially Italian for foreigners. So I would like to know what is the hardest part about teaching English in Brazil?
Okay, that's a nice question. So the hardest part, okay, I have something. Here in Brazil, it is extremely rare for somebody to speak English. Extremely rare. Like we have 200 million people over here, and only according to our Brazilian Geographic Statistics Institution, 1% speaks English. It's very, very little. And this 1%, it's not like, you know, advanced English. We are considering the beginners, we're considering the intermediates, and all of them. So people here in Brazil tend to think that speaking English is something impossible because it's very rare for a Brazilian to speak more than Portuguese. We don't speak Spanish. We don't speak English. We have that at school sometimes when you have the teacher, but you don't get to learn. You really don't get to learn. So we have a culture of thinking that learning another language is something for only for those who are smart, only for those who are intelligent. And I always must to, let's say, convince the student that's not the way it is, you know? Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, Fabian.
Yes, yeah, actually, I had a question that's been answered already. That's why you learn, yeah, why you learn German too. But yeah, that's not a problem. My other question is, yeah, so what kind of students do you get? Because you say now you give private lessons of English or music too as well, or just English?
So the conditions, let's see, my money conditions sometimes ask me to be a music teacher too. So I have been a
Okay.
music teacher also, a guitar teacher. And I'll separate the answer. So about the music teaching, usually young people who want to play the guitar. The guitar is the most popular instrument here in Brazil. I believe you know that. And
Yeah,
everybody wants to play the guitar, and
it's great.
yeah, usually like that. About English, man, usually young adults who didn't learn when they were kids, and now their
Yeah,
companies are asking them to have advanced English. Yes. So
yeah,
people who are in university, etc. And I have German students too, but they are basically they have two, and they are philosophy students who need they want to take a master degree. One is on Immanuel Kant, and the other is on Hegel. Yes, so they must
yeah.
read on the text as the original, you know. So they gotta learn German, basically that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's true. Like in Brazil, is a lot of German immigrants. Like if you see the politics in Uruguay, the politicians, like all the names, like they're all German. Like I know 50%. It's just crazy. It's not
Yes,
normal.
I have been recently to the south part of our country, and there I got to
Yeah.
talk to a lot of people who learn German by their parents because
Yeah,
the
yeah. There's a
parents
lot of.
uh came from Germany, and I thought that was very cool because I'm in Brazil. I didn't expect to speak German with anybody.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
true. Oh, great. Okay, my questions been answered, and yes, I let Heider and Shayna they have questions. I'm sure they do. I think Heider is coming next.
Okay, guys, thank you. Hello, Vini. Can I call you Vini? Okay, so as you and the news, so I'm also Brazilian. All right, so man, I'm 63 years old. Okay, And when I look your face, a young guy, Brazilian young guy, I'm impressed because you speak English very well. For me, you are fluent in English. So, man, I started studying English late in my life. Okay, and to be honest, I've never been interested in it. So, what suggestion would you give me to improve my English? Because I decided to study English um, less than 5 years ago. I started studying English maybe 5 years ago, and I decided to put English in my life. But I don't like traditional course. I study English by myself, of course. In the past year, I have some English class, teacher, personal teacher class, but I decided to study English by myself. Could you give me a suggestion for improve my English?
Okay, first off, I must say your English is really good. Don't, for real, I mean it. I can totally understand you, and it's very clear to get your ideas. But, well, one thing I always suggest, there is the classic immersive learning, but one thing that really helps me and people usually don't do is writing. Yes, one of the things I do that I learned in high school is writing. And I'm a writer. I have my books that I have written, like stories or poems. Yes. And I remember that I used not to like that, especially when I had to write in English about hard themes, like in 2017 when I was studying artificial intelligence. That was something hard for me. I had to Google everything, and but well, it was very good because then I learned a lot. I learned a lot from writing, grammar things, but also about how to show my ideas in a way that I don't need to be 100% correct, but it's fine. People can understand me. So writing, yes, I would say writing, whatever you want, stories, poems, your thoughts. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're always welcome. Thank you for the question.
Great question. Again, hey, the great question. Jenna,
Thank
are you
you.
ready? Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure if because I never used this thing over here from work. So uh, I was listening to the other, mostly every time I had a question, somebody else was before me. So I was like, there's my question gone. So, but coming back to the amount of people speaking English in your country, in Belgium, it's very important to have several languages to have a good job. So I can imagine that the 1% that speaks English has an advantage on the people who don't speak English for finding jobs. Is that
Yeah,
true?
totally. So hi, Zena. Um, yes, people here who speak Spanish and English are 10 steps ahead of everybody because since we are very all the neighbor countries here speak Spanish, uh, people, let's say, they don't pay so much attention to Spanish. Yes, I don't speak Spanish. That's the problem. I should learn it. But
Yes, true.
yes, for sure. For example, I have a student that she started with me 5 years ago. She had just entered Volkswagen, and now she was an engineer, and she entered there. She was like a junior engineer, but in order to get to a higher position, she needed advanced English, and it took her a lot of time like to get to the point. But now for nowadays, for example, she works in Germany. Yes. and her colleagues that enter there, and she has German classes with me, but not so often.
So why do you think then, if it's so important, and I think the people understand that it's important, why people don't do more effort to learn it if it's only 1%, like you say, that speaks it? Also
Pardon?
for tourist reasons. So it's important to speak English, but if I listen to your story, not many people do the effort to learn it because they don't think it's important. It finds me like a little bit of conflict. They know it's important for good job, and then they don't do it.
Uh,
What's the reason behind it?
Well, I'd say that the reason behind it, we have this culture of not learning languages, you know. At school, the language teaching is not nice at all. It's just people here in Brazil, we say it's just verb to be. Uh, so we get this early memory in our lives that learning a language is not possible, you know. And it's not just that people don't want to make the effort, let's say, but it's also hard to get, for example, an English teacher over here. It's expensive, and the population here in Brazil is very poor. Yeah, this is something very decisive for us to say. We have the minimum wage. The minimum wage, and most of Brazilians don't get higher than two minimum wages. Minimum wages, yes. So a lot of problems. Yeah, and basically this.
So another other question, not about the English part, but you was telling you are a writer. You write also books. I understand. Uh, what kind of books is it? Fiction or historical? Or
Okay, so I write poems. I write a lot of poetry. I really like it. Like I really like it. Since I don't know, there was this day that I wanted to talk to somebody. There was nobody beside me, so I had a paper. And then I started to write. You know, from that moment on, I started writing poetry, and after some time, this year, I wrote a lot of tales, and I believe it's you have a freedom in on paper that you can just flow with your ideas, and I try to always, let's say, pass the message. So there there's a little story I had that was a guy in an underground city. In an underground city, yes. And there, he had only one person, yes, that he could understand. That was his friend. He was there. He didn't know why he was there. He couldn't remember, but he knew that
I think
he had a person that he could trust. That was his friend. And then there was this day that he trembled. Yes, he touched somebody that he couldn't touch, that were the others. Yes, that he couldn't understand. And because of that, a fight started off. Yes, and he tried to run, but then he couldn't. And then his friend showed up and saved him. But his friend stayed where the fight started, and this guy started to run. And remember, it's an underground city. Okay, so after running, the main character finds a staircase, because he wants to run. Yes, they are looking out. They are looking for him. So as he goes up this staircase, he remembers that there is one rule in that word that is not to go up the stairs, but he goes anyway. And there he finds a lot of things. Yes, so for example, I try to bring up something magic to talk about something in the real world. So there he met the guy who has infinite money, but whatever this guy touches becomes money again. Yeah, so what is the point of this? It's like, it doesn't matter if you have money, in the sense, if you don't get to touch things, touch the world, get things, it's just money. That's kind of an idea. And there's much more in this, the relationships with characters, naming characters, giving personalities, and then I think I'm talking too much. Let's go for another question.
Oh, I will give the question to somebody else. It was nice. I just hear the end part because my computer was like, so from your story, but at the end of the person, your story, what you're telling was a nice story. So I would say go to the USA or Brazil again for somebody else to ask questions. Bye.
Then that was a very good question that you asked him about Brazilian population not speaking English. But anyhow, let's go to Fiorella. She's waiting and welcome again. Go
Hi.
ahead, please.
Oh, nice to meet you, Vinny. Well, the question that I had, oh, we have answered it already, but I'm thinking, um, well, another question. So you said that you grade in the three different languages in Germany and Brazilian and also in English. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
All right. Have you tried, I don't know, with your teaching, have you tried maybe to combine, yeah, the lessons and musical lessons also with the English language or with Germany, just trying to put it all together just to teach that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
I think, let's say, if I want to share my knowledge with people. I don't know much, but what I know, I want to share. And there is this friend that he couldn't afford my lessons, English lessons, because they are more expensive than my music lessons. So I remember that we would play that. He wanted to play a song of a American musician, and he couldn't understand the lyrics. And well, you get right where
Yeah.
I'm going from, where I'm going to. We basically would speak about the lyrics and then trying to understand. And after we were speaking in English because he had a good understanding and a certain fluency. Yes, in English, I always try to mix up with music. I remember I had this guy that he was a musician and he was learning English with me. And basically his classes was like, ah, this is a cavaquinho, this is a fret, the string, etc. So it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah. It seems like that makes, the learning English a little bit more fun, especially if, don't have the culture of trying to learn another language. I think that's a good way. Have you tried, I don't know, to like go in social media and also try to put yourself out there for other people?
But to be very honest, no, I haven't. I don't have, for example, I don't have Instagram. A lot of people complain, Vini, why don't you have an Instagram? But I don't know. I didn't have a Facebook, and I have never made a post. Never shared like, I went to Balneário Camboriú. Look at my trip. Well, maybe I should do that, right? It'd be fun. So yeah.
Yeah, I think especially you writing poetry and being a musician, I think that could be I don't know, something fun for you to explore.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
We should do that. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna put you guys in touch later on. Hi, there is Beck. He has another question. Let's go.
So it's not a question, it's just a comment, okay? Here in Brazil, people who can pay, people who pay English course, they study English a lot. They study English more than 6, 7 years, okay? But in general, they are not able to speak English because most of the traditional courses don't keep the focus in conversation. People know grammar rules a lot. Okay, you can not imagine how they know about grammar, English grammar rules, but in general, the traditional course keep the focus in traditional speech, kind at the airport, at the restaurant, and just this. And because that, I decided not to follow this way to study English, to practice English. Just a comment.
Okay, thanks a lot for sharing. Yes, I think that was a very important question. For me, as a born Brazilian, I also like to add something. For me, I think there's lots of issues when it comes to English learning and speaking in Brazil. Of course, what Vini says, definitely, there's so many people who cannot afford it. But there are also so many people who have no idea how they could learn and what they should do, who they should contact. And then they have also the thing, okay, I'm going to learn, but with who I'm going to talk to? I have nobody to talk to. All the televisions channels, they're all doubled. What can I do? Okay, I can listen to some music, but then, as Vini was saying again, it's very difficult to understand. They can back in the days we didn't have the lyrics. Okay, nowadays we do have the lyrics. We have Google Translate, but it's very difficult for people to just concentrate and do their thing. As Vini was also saying, they prefer to go outside, play, socialize. Brazilians, the culture is to go outside and stay outside. They're not that much of people who stay inside. I don't know, maybe Adenilson or even Lucas would like to add something to that as well. Adenilson, please feel free to help us tackle this question because I think it was very interesting and
Yeah,
very
yeah, thank you. Another thing that I would like to point out is that um, I have seen a lot of people like trying to start learnings, but they don't put English as a priority, They like to learn and some of them like to learn as quick as possible, but learning English is a process. So and another thing is that they are forcing themselves to learn. This is a problem because as they have their jobs, they have another other things to do. They put like English, I would say, on the back burner. Okay, for sector options, they don't dedicate themselves as much as they should. I think
You'd
is one
like
of
to
the
just go
problems.
to bed and wake up speaking English just like that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Luca, is there anything you'd like also to say about this? You as an student
Yeah,
now?
yeah. There is another thing about this that is a lot of people start to work really early, like at school, they start working because the family needs some money and need a lot of people to work with it. And the parents as well sometimes works 50 hours, 60 hours, even more. So besides the money part and the interest, there is also the time that a lot of people sometimes don't have time to study at school because it's doing another stuff or it's not interested. And I think that this money part, even at needing to work early and don't have money to pay for education, it is a major thing about learning English.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. Let's go to Julian. He has a question as well.
Hello, Vini. So two things. First of all, I completely agree with you on the social media thing. I do have an Instagram, but I don't think I've opened it in 2 years, because I find it very uninteresting. But I do have a question about, you mentioned so you do poetry, which I think is very cool. I like poetry as well. Have you read or analyzed any poetry, or do you have any authors that you like reading?
Yes, a lot. One thing I didn't say is that I read. Oh my God, I read. Is that you can see, but my room, books, there, instruments and books. Well, I read, to be very honest with you, I read Brazilians. It's very rare for me to read something that is not Brazilian. I don't know why. That's the problem. I should learn more, should read more English and German authors. But I'm so in love with Brazilian poetry. If I could totally recommend you want a recommendation? Sorry, is
Sure.
that what you want? Yes. Okay. My favorite, let me see if it's here. Oh, yes, this guy here. Excuse me. This guy here, he is the man. He's Fernando Pessoa. Fernando Pessoa, he is the guy. There is also Carlos Drummond de Andrade or Carlos Drummond de Andrade. Yes, something like this. They are perfect. Perfect. I really like their poetry there. I read every day, and then oh, this is true. This is true. And uh this is like a translate. One thing I say is that poetry is the translation of our soul. You know that it has the power of reading us, and through that we understand the world better, because I believe we can only understand as much as we can understand ourselves. That's a personal opinion. You don't have to agree, but as much as I can understand myself, I get to understand the world better, other people better. So yes, I read every day. That's the thing.
Wow, that's awesome. I'd heard of Fernando Pessoa, but I hadn't read anything about from him yet. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with poetry. There are some very good English authors that I liked because their style is it's very technical. Almost every word is there for a reason, which I like. But then they find a way to make this very, technical poetry sound beautiful as well, which I really like. But poetry in Portuguese is amazing because at least Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese has a way of being sung rather than spoken. And I love that. I think it comes out extremely well in poetry. So I need to read more Brazilian poetry.
Go for it. I totally recommend this too. One thing I can tell you about Fernando Pessoa, he had, just a second, please. Uh, Fernando Pessoa had uh, 300 personalities during his life. And each personality was an author. Each personality was an author. So Fernando Pessoa has what we here in Brazil we say heteronyms. I don't know if that's the names. Heteronyms. Do you know Brazilian fellas heteronyms in English? I don't know. And then other personalities. So every book, of course, is written there, Fernando Pessoa. But every book, every author has its own way of writing. So there is the guy who has, what you said, like very technical. Each word has a thing. There is the non-metric guy. There is the guy who uses the beautiful words, let's say, the fancy words. So there's so much to, how can I say, explore with only one. I don't know if I can say one author, but it's amazing. It's amazing. I love this guy. He's for sure top one favorite.
Clear. Okay. I guess Julian's question was also amazing because you see how Vini reacted to that. Okay, Fabian has another question. However, I would like to hear Dora, Lucas, and Oli. I know Oli is driving at the moment. I was just wondering if you'd be able to ask the question. But before that, let's go to Fabian. And the rest, please get ready for at least one more question, okay? Okay, Fabian.
Yeah, okay. Mine wasn't actually a questions. Like I wanted to go back to the theme of like people like learning English in Brazil that I always say think about like in Uruguay too, we have the same problem. No, not many people speak English, but
Mhm.
just in a level, for example, for tourists, like it's a big problem if tourists come, that they want to be understand or things like that, and it's really difficult to find someone to speak English with. And yeah, I think the main problem is like Brazil is beautiful, and there's so many people, and it's such a rich country in culture and like in resources and stuff that they don't really need the English to live. Like here in Belgium, yeah, we live next. We are a really little country, and we are next to Germany and France, and yeah, you need to speak another language. But another thing, like we are like Spanish and Portuguese, they are languages that come from the Latin, and like in Italy, not going so far from Belgium, no, Italy, Spain, they speak little English, and if you go to Spain, people speak English really badly, like. Because you go to the airport in Madrid, like that is just terrible, experience. You know, but yeah, I think I will say it's a problem. It's just like they don't really need it in Brazil. Just if you want to find a job like for an international company, or if you're living closer to the front, yeah, with South America, and South America, Brazil in South America. Like for example, LATAM is really big now. LATAM is a fusion
Mhm.
between airlines from Brazil and then Chile, and this fusion and LATAM like continent. Probably you need to speak English, but for the rest, where you live, like everybody speak Portuguese because yeah, who needs to speak English there? Not many people. No, Vinicius, I believe it's not really need for the daily life. Like if you don't
That's
speak English, you wouldn't die from.
yeah, that's totally true. Um, yeah, people just don't need English, let's say. And
Yeah,
yes, what you said, we are a very big country, and because of that, there are a lot of reasons we can point out, like geographic reasons.
geographically,
Eh,
yeah,
According to the geographic reasons, we should speak Spanish, yes, because our borders are all Spanish speakers. Um, but yes, like it's very rare for me to use my English out of classes. Yes.
yeah, a lot of work. Yeah, yeah, you don't need it. Like and tourists, what tourism? Yeah, there's more tourists in São Paulo probably, but where you
Yeah.
are, there's not many. Yeah, no, in Rio too. But yeah, the people that live there probably speak some English in a restaurant, things like that, but not really. And you go to
Yeah.
Montevideo, you go to the most touristic place, and yeah, no one would speak to you in English. Like you go to a restaurant, and it's really difficult.
Totally true.
Yeah,
It just made me remember, yes, of the this time. It was the very first time that I spoke English with somebody that was actually a foreigner. That I was in Rio, and there was this lady. Can you help me? She wanted to take a picture, and I was like, I can't understand. I think I was 15,
right.
and I didn't know how to answer. I just, oh yes, I can. I don't know what I said, but it was what you
That's
said. It's
great.
rare, very rare.
Yeah,
All right,
nowadays it's
guys.
more needed.
Sorry, Fabian, but we are running out of
It's
time.
good.
If you have other people. Okay,
No.
Lucas, please go ahead. Lucas, with your question.
Okay, just adding something. It is really difficult to use English outside of places like this or classes. I remember to use only one time where I was at a bus station and someone asked me if she needed to get this bus to get to somewhere. So it was the only time that I remember that I used English outside of a school or something. Going to my question, I would like to know, Vini, if you are willing to learn another language. If, like, you said that you learn German, you teach German, and I found it really interesting because I started learning German too. So I'd like you
Okay.
to know if you want to learn another language, and if wanted it has a specific reason to learn another language. Like you said that some of your students wanted to learn German to do a master degree at Europe. So you have something like this.
What a question. What do I say to this? Thanks for the question. So yes, totally. Nowadays, I learn. I'm focusing more on German because like I can speak German, I think well, but I didn't study in a course. I studied by myself, but I didn't have a teacher actually. And so I try always chatting online. I try always writing, as I said to Hater. I always try doing these things by myself because I'm traveling. Yes, I'm going there, and I'm really
That's
excited
good.
about it next year. And but I'm at the same moment with the time I can. I'm learning Japanese because I have a very strong reason to learn Japanese. Besides, let's say, entertainment, my future, I don't know how to say this. I have a couple of friends that they are really important to me, and they are moving to Japan. Yes. And they plan, yes, they're having a kid, and I'm gonna be the grandfather, no, grandfather, no, sorry, godfather godfather of the kid. If it's God kid, can I say that? He's gonna be my God kid. Can I say it? Yes? All right.
Yes.
So my God kid's gonna speak Japanese. I gotta speak to them. Yes. So like
Wow.
necessarily need to speak to them.
Right.
So yes, I learn kanji, I learn hiragana, etc. I can read it well. Speaking is like okay. I don't die of hunger in Japan. And in Russian, I really like Russian. So I know like Russian alphabets. I'm learning Russian alphabets and etc. And a lot of languages. I want to learn languages until I die.
Me too. Me too.
Well, Lucas, it's your first time here, and I can say you had a great start. And when it comes to Vini, oh my gosh, all the languages that you speak already and that you want to learn, they're all completely different from one another. Wow. Anyhow, Fiorella, go ahead with your question.
All right. Well, I just want to say that, well, at least for me, back in the day when I learned English in Peru, also, I mean, I couldn't practice it too much because there was nobody, unless you were at school or the place that you were learning English, you didn't have people to practice it. So you kind of lose that fluidity because you have nobody to practice with unless you're like in a place or that there's a lot of tourists and you can practice with those natives or but then yeah you will lose it and I think that's pretty common in many countries. You learn a language but then you don't practice it and you start forgetting words and it's hard unless you really try to put your dedication to it. When I finally came to the States the first time, when Simone and we had the experience in Montana, that's when I started practicing and started remembering what I stopped using for like 2, 3 years. So that did help a lot. And well, I think that especially nowadays, when you want to follow up with a career, you do need another language. And I think, I don't know if it's the case, but mostly English because a lot of textbooks and stuff, they are, some of them are in English, and it's good at least for you to know that. And I think that you teaching English over there, it's really important. So just to open more opportunities to those kids that want to follow up also with other careers, just not to be so difficult for them later on. So I think that's really cool. It's really important for you to do. So yeah, and I think it's awesome also that you're learning other languages.
Thank you.
Yes, I think that's really cool. I want to learn more. I just haven't had the time. Really have my eye on, I have to say, I have my eye on Italian because
Oh,
of
we have
my
a great
heritage.
teacher here. I'm gonna put you in touch with Chiara as well. Okay, guys. Fiorella, thanks a lot for sharing. Chiara, please, your question.
Oh, you're
Oh,
muted, Karen.
your mic is out again. Mhm.
Once again. Okay. I always forget. So I've got the last question for Vinicius. And have you ever thought of living in another country? And if you could live in another country, what would it be?
Oh, I think the toughest question of so far. So, I have had the opportunities of moving out. Yes. Because of English, yes. Um, job opportunities, but man, I have never had the chance of traveling, and this is a problem. I've never been abroad, you know. Uh, but to be honest, no. I love
Well, you are
Brazil. I
still
really
young,
love.
so you will have plenty of opportunities to travel abroad, and I really think that you should, so you can also practice the language you are very good at.
Yes, I really like. I'm planning this trip to Germany, as I said, because I want to, prove to myself that I learned by myself, and I'm gonna speak to them. I'm gonna play music to them in German. I'm gonna show my songs in German to them, and I want to talk to them about it. Um, yes, but I really want to explore the world nowadays. For example, I totally explore São Paulo City. Unfortunately, we are in our time, but I have a lot of recommendations if you ever come to São Paulo. I know a lot about São Paulo because it's what's close to me. But I just love Brazil. I study about Brazil every day, and it's just natural to me. And of course, other countries are beautiful, and I study about them too. But I love Brazil. Maybe I'll change my mind one day. Yeah, and it's totally fine. But nowadays, I'd say no. Even though everybody asks me because I speak German and English, and as again, it's rare here. People say, "Ah, why don't you move out?" Yes, you can teach German in the United States for people who are in college. And I say, no, it's fine for me here. Because, just because, I'm happy here. I don't need to change.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's fine.
All right. Um, I have a question, but time's up. So I'm gonna have to do that privately.
Okay.
Guys, this session was exactly what I hoped it would be. Actually, it's even better because Vinicius, you are just an inspiration. You're just amazing. You're just 22 years old. You have an old soul. There's nothing else I can say. It felt like you're talking to 100 years old, 200 years old. You're so enthusiastic and you're so full of passion. Amazing. So far, I've held so many sessions and I never asked someone to come back yet. But I think I'm going to have to make an exception for you and book you next month again because, oh my gosh, there's still so much to talk about. Anyhow, I'm
Yes.
going to stop now because I have to go. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. Vinicius, it was a pleasure.
Great.
Next Monday is Jenna. She's here as well. She'll be holding her own session. And for the ones who'd like to join us, more than welcome. Okay, we've had some Belgians on board already. However, Jenna, she will be the first transgender special speaker ever. So the session is also going to be amazing. Guys, thank you so much. You all have a lovely weekend and come back Monday to see Jenna. All right? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
You.
week.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.
Thank